15 minutes with Rizz. Aliens are fucking real. And how do you get into voice acting? All that and more on today's number 2 show. Hello, hello, hello. What's up, you Commode Commanders, you Lulu League, the Swirl Squad, the Dookie Delegation, the Bold Battalion. I don't know what I'm going to call you guys, but welcome to another episode of the number 2 show. I'm your host, Rafe Williams, and I've got a jam-packed show for you today. Thank you for joining me here in my talk show / bathroom, the only show brought to you while you're taking a deuce, and I'm proud of that to this day. And I'm going to get it started because I got so much in store for you. So we're going to get it cranking right now, live here in 18 North Central Tactical Laser Tag Studios with a little segment I like to call 15 Minutes with Rizz, brought to you by Rogers Service and Towing. Oh, hey, Scott Rizzuto's in the building.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, hello. Is that a new shirt, man?
It's an old shirt, but I have not worn it in a while.
It looked new. It looked very crisp
It's
today.
it's what is this? The brand is Untuck It.
Untuck It. That's a popular brand.
It's an Untuck It.
That's an interesting business model Untuck It came up with.
It's shirts you don't have to tuck in. They look good untucked.
Yeah, they went with like what? The lazy guy model. Right? Is that what it is? It's like they make them a little shorter.
Well, I mean, it's for more casual.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're more casual man.
Yeah.
And I'm a casual guy.
You are a casual guy. It's for dads.
Yeah, for dads who don't want to tuck the shirts in. They still want to look cool. Untuck it.
Untuck It. Who'd have thought that Untuck It would be, and I think they're doing well.
They've been around for a couple of years now. I do enjoy perusing their website. But, my wife does most of my clothes shopping. I did get the Untuck It stuff myself.
Proud of that, huh?
Yeah, I am.
I'm proud of you.
Well, she buys my underwear and socks.
She does?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a Neanderthal.
Yeah. Do you have underwear preferences, or are you, I myself like Saxx, S-A-X-X, love a sponsorship, got the ballpark pouch, keep your little twig and berries separate from your thighs rubbing together.
Tommy John.
I think they have a similar model.
Tommy John is a great brand.
They got a little pouch, right?
Yes. Nads, I believe, is another brand.
That's 2 on the nose.
And I do have a pair. It's the
Saxx with 2 X's was almost too much for me.
It's the Armachillos. Armachillo.
Dude. There we go. There's 4 companies getting free shout-outs on this pod right now. What's the Armachillo? What's so special? You sound like you were
It's
about to gush.
their underwear that when it's hot and swampy out, keeps you cool down there.
Just the tech. It's got like some kind of microfiber.
Dude, and maybe Gore-Tex. I don't know what Gore-Tex really is. But it's special cooling fibers. They keep everything nice and cool down there on those hot, swampy St. Louis or wherever you are summer days.
Yeah, underwear's come a long way, man.
Oh, the technology?
It's amazing.
Oh yeah, think about the tighty whitey era.
Yeah, I mean that had to be like the tighty whitey era, maybe the longest running era of garment in garment history. I don't know when they came out. When did tighty whities come out? That had to be 1920s?
I'm gonna say 1930s or 40s because I think probably like boxers were pre-tighty whitey. If I were to guess, I this is based on nothing.
1935. Here we go.
1935 tighty whitey.
We're about to learn. 1935, the Cooper Underwear Company, now known as Jockey International.
Okay.
Revolutionized.
Still around today.
They are. Men's underwear by introducing the first pair of briefs. These new briefs, designed by Arthur Niebler, were inspired by the form-fitting swimwear of French men.
Oh, fancy, huh?
So think about that, dude. 1935, the tighty whitey comes out. It's 2025. That's almost 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
I would say underwear brief technology
has come leaps and bounds. All right, so before tighty whities were probably just your silk boxer briefs.
Yeah.
And then you had, no, just your silk boxers. Then the evolution of the tighty-whitey was the boxer brief, which I think is, something of the 80s or even 90s?
Probably, and I'm still going to throw that into the tighty-whitey category.
No, that's a whole new...
Okay, that's fine.
That's a whole new category. Because you think tighty-whitey, you're thinking, Hanes, Fruit of the Loom,
you're right.
White, show your skid marks, saggy ass.
Yeah, dude.
Dad underwear. Now with these fancy boxer briefs, form-fitting, ass looks good.
Yeah, man.
I'm proud to cruise my house in these.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think they probably didn't come out with anything super special as far as like colors and tech till the 2000s.
Yeah, it was white only.
Yeah, or if you got a color, it was like a very muted cotton, all cotton. They didn't start coming out with this like 5% spandex, fab tech, cool down. Now there's something called modal. I don't even know what the fuck is in that.
I don't know
dude.
what that is.
Me neither. It's some kind of polysynth blend that keeps your balls cool but makes your wang look big. They got all kinds of stuff going on. They got the ballpark pouch. They got the tagless. They got all these cool prints. You can have ice cream cones all over. Before that, you had to get the boxer shorts with hearts all over it, which was just a joke in like Three Stooges
your novelty,
episodes. Yeah,
your novelty boxers. Did you have a dad that walked around in his underwear at home?
Yeah, I feel like he would. He didn't stay in him long. My dad, you know what? That's the one thing I got from him. We're not super close, but sometimes the apple in the tree thing is. He was clothed. He had on his jeans and his boots most of the time. He didn't like hang around the house in like shorts, or he was like ready to rock. And I do that, man. And I don't know if that's just a freaking nature versus nurture thing. If I'm at home, even on the weekends, dude, you're going to be hard pressed to catch me.
Not in jeans?
Yeah, not in like jeans and boots, like ready to throw down. Go take to the streets if I have to. If I go into the gym, I might have on some
sweats or
gym shoes or sweats or something. But man, I when I get up and start my day, I get dressed.
Yeah, I didn't. My dad was not a walk around in your underwear guy. He would wear sweatpants or comfy shorts or whatever. But I had friends whose dads cruised around in their underwear all the time.
Damn, that was weird. When
even what company over?
Yeah, I know a dad like that too. And I feel like, was it weird? I can't remember if it felt weird or not. It probably did, right?
It felt a little weird. Like, honestly, it felt a little weird.
You can get the cops called on you today.
Oh, nowadays, yeah, you've been on a sex offender list.
You had a slumber party and your dad comes out with his dick print and his tighty-whities.
Yeah, like
with a little yellow.
There's a chance you see in your friend's dad's helmet.
Oh,
It's,
yeah. Easy.
with sitting the wrong way.
Oh, yeah, dude.
But it was a part of life in the 80s and 90s, I guess.
You can sit down to read the newspaper and an entire testicle just fall out of a loose-fitting tighty-whitey, man.
You've been to my house before. Do you think I am somebody that goes around in their underwear?
Here's what I'll say. I'm going to say yes because I don't see you that way at all. Mm-hmm. But I think you're pretty comfortable at home with your family and you don't have a lot of people over. Because her family doesn't live nearby. Your family doesn't live nearby. So you pretty much just got your nuclear family, if you will. And I could
wife and 2 kids.
I could see you on a Sunday morning just hanging out in your boxer briefs, cooking breakfast with like a T-shirt on. I don't think you're going bare chest. But I could see you doing underwear and a shirt, Donald Duck style.
It's kind of a hybrid thing for me. Like, I'll go down and I'll Saturday, Sunday morning, I'll have sweatpants on or, joggers or whatever. But if I need to, I'm not going to be embarrassed in my own house walking around with my boxer briefs on. Fine with it. You guys live here. You got to deal with it.
Yeah. I don't think it's weird when it's your kids either.
No.
I didn't think anything of it when my parents used to be in their undies or whatever, but yeah, and there was like dads that were a little liberal with the walking around. Now, how was your dad? Let me ask you this question. Did you have one bathroom growing up, 2? Where were you sitting?
No, we had 2 bathrooms. Bathroom for my brother and I, and my parents had their master bathroom.
Oh, so you didn't have to deal with being in the bathroom when your dad had to drop one.
No, I mean, listen, there were times where maybe the master bathroom was occupied, and my dad used our bathroom, but
because I feel like dad poop has a very specific smell. Like your dad's poop. There was a day in my life when my poop smelled like my dad's, and I was like, I think I have to just walk out into the woods and die. Like an old lion who knows it's time.
Now I wonder if my kids say that about me if they go into the bathroom after me.
I bet they do.
I bet you they do.
Something happens, and I don't we had one bathroom, and my dad did not care if he had to go. He was coming in. I'd be in the shower, and we had a tiny bathroom where the tub was to the side, and the toilet faced the tub. And my dad's 6'4", so his knees would hit I'd see the shower curtain push in where his knees were at, and I was like, oh, man, it's hot and steamy in here.
Oh, God. And
it's like, what's your choices? Get out and, try to, dry off quickly while your dad's mid-shit?
Oh.
Or just,
nope,
stay in the back of the shower?
That never happened to me, nor would I ever do that to my children.
You wouldn't?
No, God, no.
You're a good dad. You ever had to do that? What about the wife?
I would never do that in front of my wife either.
You've never had a hotel emergency where she's in the shower and you're like, it's got to happen. I don't want this to happen.
Not in the time we've been together, 25 years. Never.
Man, I don't think a lot of people could say that, man. I don't think a lot of married guys can say that. There's almost always been even if you have two bathrooms, sometime you're going to be at someone else's house. You're going to be on the road in a hotel or an Airbnb.
Everything's timed out perfectly.
What would you do?
Hashtag blessed. What?
Would you do it if you had to, or would you just
If an emergency.
Or would you? I pooped in the yard because I didn't want to do it in front of her. Don't look at me. I pooped in the trash can.
I got woods. I got woods behind my house. If I had to be a man of the woods, I would.
Would you consider that?
Walking into the woods to take a crap?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
When's the last time you did that?
Crapped in the woods?
Yeah.
Probably last week.
Yeah.
No. We had a farm.
Yeah.
And had to do it, out in the field.
Yeah.
Ducked into, where a bunch of trees were.
Just got after it, huh?
I had to. I mean, it was...
Dude, that's good for you, man.
It was a slow tractor ride back to the main house.
Yeah.
When you're out there and it's, hot and, the bubble guts get you.
Yeah.
You have to go.
You had to poop off the side of I-35 outside of Nashville.
I mean, not ideal, right?
No, I mean, you're never doing it because you got yourself in the right situation. I had to go, and I was in standstill traffic, and I just told the guy in the RV behind me, I'm like, bro, I'm going to poop in the woods, kind of hoping he'd throw the offer out.
Yeah,
because he was in one of those RVs where he was driving it. Yeah, big one. Like the kind where the steering wheel's in the RV. And I'm like, I know you got a shitter in there, dude. And he blocked me hard.
No, you wouldn't want a stranger coming on and shitting on your RV.
I get it. But, man, I thought maybe he'd throw me a little bit of a Hail Mary.
I wouldn't.
So I just took some napkins out in the woods off I-35. And then he had to do the weird lean against a tree. I was out of practice. I'm like, man, I don't know should I just get down to my bare feet and legs?
And you also don't want to crap in, the bridge that you made with your underwear.
Yeah, exactly. You crap in the little underwear bridge where you're trying to push out. Now it's worse because now you've created distance between your ass and the underwear where now you have to worry about velocity.
Oh.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, and I'm like, then what am I going to do? I'm just walking out of the woods with that pure Winnie the Pooh. Just leave my pants and underwear in the woods. And it was pitch black at night. Before that, deer hunting, I remember I used to always have to tear the sleeve off of a shirt. If you had to poop, we didn't have toilet paper. You just tore I'd see my friends coming out of the woods with one shirt sleeve. I'm like, well, you took a shit.
Again, not an ideal thing, but when you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah, that's true.
And I try to be a classy gentleman about it at home.
You're a classy guy, always.
I don't want to traumatize my kids or cause them, or any more reasons for them to be in some kind of therapy when they get older.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of that anyway.
Yeah.
How much time do I have left? Because I want to run something.
About a minute 30.
Uh-oh. I probably don't have time for this, so we'll save it for next week. But Let's talk real quick for the minute 30 we have left. Speaking of untucking it and piles of shit, let's talk about that Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. Let's just do a quick recap. Were we over the hype? Was this the last time we're going to fall for the hype?
I'll probably fall for it again, but I'm very disappointed in myself for falling for the hype. I wanted to live like I did back in the 1980s and 1990s when Mike Tyson fights were a big deal, and I bought into the hype that this was going to be a nostalgia moment. First off, Netflix, you blew it. Biggest audience that you would ever have, 60 million plus tuning in, and you didn't test out if your service can handle all those people. The buffering, this time skipping, it was awful. They're on top of it, a shitty fight. I was so mad.
Yeah, man, it was definitely rigged and garbage, and I've been watching all these breakdowns of the fight where Mike Tyson ducked him, and they showed side-by-sides of even when he fought Roy Jones where he would duck and then deliver a 1-2-3 counter, and he just would start the counter and pull back and not even throw a punch. At times when Jake was overextended and totally exposed, and people were like, the fix had to be in.
That's the final bell, Rafe.
All right, speaking of final bells,
the Tyson fight sucked, and Netflix, you should be ashamed.
Would you, as on your way out, you'd never pay-per-view a Jake Paul fight, right? It has to be free for you to watch it.
Yeah, I'll even steal it.
Okay.
I feel like I'm owed it.
Bye. The old man in the cable box, everybody. Keep it going for Scott Rizzuto. And that concludes, that's how it works, guys. 15 minutes, he's out of here. That's how we keep it tight around here. Anyways, the Tyson-Paul fight sucked. Maybe I'll get more into that later. But right now, let's take a break for a quick word from our sponsors. And we're back after a word from our sponsors here in 18 North Central Tactical Laser Tag Studios, home of the number 2 show, and it's time for our next segment, a segment I like to call the Annals of History.
From the Annals of History.
The Annals of History, and this is a salute to every crazy libertarian uncle out there. Because your day has come. What person, historically, speaking of the Annals of History, has been treated like more of an anus than all of the crazy crackpot uncles and aunts out there who have talked ad nauseum about the existence and proof of aliens, alien spacecraft, and maybe alien encounters. It's always been laughed off. Oh, why is only people in trailer parks seeing this? Why is only people here and there seeing this? Don't know why. Maybe because they're the only ones willing to tell the truth, my friends. Simple people of the earth going to tell you the truth about a little gray man sticking a pinky up their booty hole and looking around. We laughed and we laughed. Well, guess what, people? They're having goddamn straight up alien hearings in Congress right now. And they're just yeah, they real. And it's happening. It's happening live in color right now in the halls of Congress. Taxpayer money's being spent on this. And some of the stuff is revelation, if you will. And man, it's kind of wild to me that we are admitting that not only alien spacecraft are real, that we believe they're piloted by non-biological or biological non-humans, I believe is the term they're using, that they can't explain their mechanics, their physics, that we've known about them for a long time, that we've actually recovered down spacecraft. We're paying, one of the things they talked about in the hearing was that they're paying pensions to government employees who were injured in the retrieval of unidentified spacecraft that crashed. So they have crashed. We have recovered them. We've admitted that. We've tried to reverse engineer technology based on them, which has Bob Lazar and all these people we've been making fun of for all these years. Bobby Lazar have been saying this for years. They've had government employees come out and say, hey, I worked at Area 51 or I worked at this Air Force base, and these things are real, man. I've seen the little gray men. I've seen the bodies. And we were all just yeah, right. This ain't the X-Files, pal. Well, guess what? It is the X-Files. And the craziest thing is it ain't enough to hold the public interest. We are living in such an insane time right now that on Capitol Hill right now, they're talking about little green guys and dudes and gals getting pulled out of spacecraft, and we're like, but yeah, that's cool, but Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, that's cool. That's even cooler, dude. Like, we are idiots. The public are idiots. And we're at a point now, the attention span's so shitty that perhaps the most amazing thing in the world that you could ever know in your lifetime can't hold our interest enough to even be front page news. That's insane, dude. That's insane, but that's where we're at, and it's happening. And there is a congresswoman, and I'm going to play a little bit of it, and we're going to go through just a piece of one of these UAP trials, man, because it's nuts. And I want to talk about it. There's a congresswoman. Her name is Anna Paulina Luna. She is United States House of Representatives, Florida's 13th congressional district, former U.S. Air Force. And she was asking some really good questions to the panel of people they had speaking out about it. And, it's wild, some of the things that they're speaking so matter of a fact about that should be completely mind-blowing, And I think a big piece of this, before I get started, I often wonder why they wouldn't, people are like, it's a national security issue. That's why they have never told us. And I often wonder, think about War of the Worlds when it happened. People lost their goddamn mind during Orson Welles reading War of the Worlds over the radio. And I don't know what year that was, the 30s sometime. People thought it was real. We talk about national security, what countries have access to this, who's going to have the technological advantage of reverse engineering this alien tech. But if they're here and they're watching us and the existence, we're admitting there's an existence outside of humanity that is a higher intelligence than us, then that blows up so many of our cultural cornerstones that we accept, whether it's religion, made in God's image. If we're made in God's image and we're here to dominate the plants and animals of the earth, but there's another being that's not human, that comes from space, that has more technological and intelligent advancements than we have, what does that say about all of our religions, from Christianity to Islam to Buddhism? Those structures that are in place to control us and to narrate our behavior in our lives. Sometimes I wonder if that was just something they were scared to release to the public for those reasons. Not to mention control. As long as we're fighting national fights, we're nationalistic, these fake borders that we've drawn all over these maps. It's us against the Ukraine against Russia. It's the Israelis and the Palestinians. It's the United States and Russia locked in a Cold War, or China, or, for God forbid, Canada. The minute there's a threat to the entire human race, we might actually figure out we're all in this thing together, and those lines might disappear, and people in power might be a little bit worried that power and control could slip away, and that the ants might figure out that instead of fighting each other, we could unite and fight the people that have been keeping us in the dark for so long. And that would not be good for the people who are kingmakers and power brokers all over the world. But for me, I think it's a good thing. Maybe finding out there's an existential threat outside. We don't know if they're threatening or not. They haven't done anything to us that we know of. I don't know if there's lizard people, that are going to unzip, and like the movie They Live with Roddy Piper, longest fight scene in history. I might pull that up and show it to you at the end of this. But right now I want to get into a little bit of this UAP hearing now that I've espoused my opinions, and we'll dissect it a little bit at a time while this hot congresswoman lays the law down. Here we go.
Your knowledge, can you name the country and around time frame that the first back engineered UAP program started?
Ma'am, unfortunately, I would not be able to have that conversation in public.
Can anyone on the panel name that?
I cannot.
None of you? Okay. This next question is for Mr. Gallaudet. To your knowledge, have any USOs ever outpaced our submarines?
Yes, ma'am.
At what magnitude?
I don't have the exact speed, but again, a witness came to me, a credible former submarine officer who observed it on sonar data. And this was in the 80s in the North Atlantic during a storm, and it outpaced his submarine by orders of magnitude.
Are you aware of any hotspots that currently exist off our shores in North America?
Not with sufficiently credible data, ma'am.
Okay, we've heard reports of there potentially being hotspots, maybe entry and exit points. Have you heard of any of that?
I have not, ma'am, but my colleague here, Mr. Elizondo, does discuss some USO activity that he's observed in certain DoD databases.
Mr. Elizondo, in regards to these aircraft being piloted by whatever.
Before we get into that, let's talk about the first thing. So they're admitting this happened in the 80s, right? So we've known about this for at least 50 years. They didn't, and honestly, they didn't really say when the reverse engineering started. And there are a lot of people who have theorized over time, not to sound like your crazy libertarian uncle, but there are a lot of people who have theorized over time. We've had huge technological leaps since the 50s. And a lot of people credit that to alien technology, that something was introduced to us that really, I believe, and I don't know the numbers, but I want to say the Bronze Age lasted hundreds or thousands of years, or the Industrial Revolution was 100 years, but we've made more jumps in technology in 50 years, in the last 50, than we made in the previous 1,000. And that at a geometric rate, we have made technological discoveries in, from the internet to microchips to healthcare to aviation, all of these scientific fields, we've made huge, huge strides. Now, that could be the natural progression of it. It's possible. But a lot of people credit it to reverse engineering alien technology, which they're admitting they've done, at least with spacecraft. We don't know. They're not saying what else they found. But they did say that in the 80s, they outpaced a submarine by what he called origin of magnitude, which I don't know what that means. What's origin of magnitude mean? I assume that it means a shitload. He's basically saying, like, how much faster than a submarine was this technology? And he's like, a shitload in the 80s, dude, which is wild. And then the next thing she's about to get into, that's going to really blow your fucking O-rings. So let's go back a little bit.
Mr. Elizondo, in regards to these aircraft being piloted by whatever they might be, non-human biologics, would you agree that it's likely that they are being piloted by some mind-body connection?
Ma'am, I think it is safe to presume here that they are being intelligently controlled because some cases seem to anticipate our maneuvers, and in other cases they seem to, I came across an email where the word stalked was used in a very secure email between Navy officers discussing their ships being pursued by a UAP.
In our previous...
Okay, what? Little Miss Luna? Talking about that mind-body connection? What's up? That sounds like something I try to, when I'm trying to get my girlfriend to give me like a massage. Like, girl, you trying to, come on. You know we got that mind-body connection. That's like a thing Genuine or R. Kelly would have sang about back in the day. Like, you gotta have that mind-body connection. It's an Al Green jam, dude. Like, I'm talking about the mind, girl. Connected to the body, baby. Now, we're talking about these aliens coming down here. Are they trying to fuck? Are these aliens trying to bang my girlfriend right now? Because that sounds like Al Green might be a little sexy alien. Came down. Love and happiness. And also gleep, glop, gleep, glork. I'm from Mars, baby. Who knows? But that's wild. Mind-body connection. Piloted by mind-body connection. What the fuck does that mean? I'm assuming it means that someone is flying this spaceship with their brain, which is wild. And then he said, whatever's being, what were his exact words?
I came across an email where the word stalked
Stalked, that's what he said. He said they're stalking us. Now, that doesn't sound romantic at all. At first, it sounded romantic. Mind-body connection. Everybody wants that. Then it started to sound a little bit like, hey, dude, restraining order. It's time to get a restraining order on these fucking aliens. Look, man, it's over, aliens. I've moved on. I'm with Kirk now. You had your chance. Kirk and I are happy. Don't come in here messing it all up for me. We had a mind-body connection, little alien. And guess what? You didn't appreciate me. You took me for granted. Now I'm with Kirk. And you're stalking me. You're stalking our military vehicles. We've had enough. So back off. It's just crazy to me that this is a thing.
In our previous panel, we had Grush, and he had testified to say that some of these were interdimensional beings. Can you speak on that at all?
Ma'am, I'm not qualified.
What? This is happening in Congress, guys. Interdimensional beings. Meaning what? Meaning time travel? Is that what we're talking about? What does interdimensional mean? Does that mean that they're just coming through a wormhole? Are they humans from the future coming back to try to keep us from fucking stuff up? That's the plot of about 1,000 movies. Are they big feet? Are they Bigfoots? Are they Sasquatches? Yetis? We don't know. Are they gray because we nuked the world and that's what people turn into, is these little sludge-colored monsters because there's no sun? It's been blotted out from the sky? Maybe. But interdimensional, we're having this conversation in the open, in public, on Capitol Hill. That's insane, dude. And listen to his response.
I'm certainly, as a scientist or otherwise, to speculate points of origin. I looked at everything from a scientific perspective. So if you look at, for example, instantaneous acceleration, which was one of the observables of the program that I belong to, ATIP, the human body can withstand about 9 G-forces for a short period of time before you suffer negative biological consequences, blackouts and ultimately redouts and even death. Comparison, our best technology, the F-16, which is one of this older platform, but one of our most highly maneuverable aircraft, manned aircraft, made by General Dynamics, can perform about 17 or 18 G-forces before you start having structural failure, meaning that the airframe begins to disintegrate while you're flying. The vehicles we're talking about are performing in excess of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 Gs.
Okay. Let's break that down for a second. This dude, who is an expert, said these observable spacecraft, he said the human body can withstand 9 Gs before you black out. What was his other thing he said? Let's look up what that even means. Blackout refers to a temporary loss of consciousness or vision, while a redout specifically describes a visual distortion where the field of vision appears red, typically caused by blood rushing to the head during high G-force situations, like flying maneuvers. Well, I said maneuvers. Essentially, a blackout redout combines the experience of losing consciousness with the visual redout effect. Yeah, never had that happen. Blacked out plenty, never had a redout. Now I know, and that's kind of wild, dude. That's even a thing. So that's what's happening at 9 Gs. Now, these things, they're saying, are moving at 1,000 to 2,000 to 3,000 G-force. And they're piloted by something that can withstand that. And he talked about the F-16s, the saying that like the body of our best aircraft can only survive 16 Gs before it starts to come apart in the sky. These things are pulling 3,000 Gs and moving around at high rates of acceleration that they can't even explain how they're accelerating at this. And they don't go in a linear line. They zigzag across the sky at these rates. This is real. This isn't a movie. This is happening today. This happened yesterday, and they're doing more hearings today on Capitol Hill. This is insane.
Would it be safe to infer that they're living craft?
I'm not prepared at this point to state for the record is something alive or not, because even that definition is hard. There was a time in science we thought that life required oxygen, and we now know that's not true. There are anaerobic bacteria that thrive in oxygen environments that lack oxygen. And also same with photosynthesis. When I was in college, I was told everything is derived from photosynthesis as a form of energy. In reality, that's not true. There are things that live off of chemosynthesis. So we're constantly having to reevaluate our understanding of what the definition of life is.
Do any of you ever come across reports from people that claim to have firsthand experiences with these entities, whatever they might be, or these aircraft, and then as a result, whether or not they're religious, find that these things will automatically disappear? Anyone, and this is open to any of you on the panel. So just real quick, because I'm running out of time. Lou?
Ma'am, I've always been a nuts and bolts kind of guy. When I was at ATIP, I was focusing more on the performance characteristics and less on the potential occupants.
Okay, the reason I ask is because it seems like, just based on our conversations, that we've had people that say that there are good and bad of whatever these things are. And so my concern from a national security perspective is A, that true? B, are you guys hearing the reports of that? And C, I think moving forward in regards to technology, Mr. Gold, if you can answer this real quickly, some of these aircraft, it seems that they are operating off of energy that we don't currently have. But just yes or no, in your opinion, if we were able to obtain that, would that impact humanity for the better or negative?
Before they answer that, she asked if there was a living craft, meaning that this craft may be in and of itself an organism, which is wild. That is some shit from a science fiction movie, like the new Tom Cruise summer blockbuster, Independence Day, where the ship is actually just an alien's butthole and the hole that everyone's getting sucked up into, like the movie Nope or whatever. But this is an actual question, and no one's laughing this off. Nobody's laughing her down. Like, she's asking very thoughtful, very pointed questions, and she's talking about the technology itself. And she said there's good and bad reported, as if maybe there are ships that mean us harm and ships that don't, that seem to be more exploratory or possibly even on our side. And then she asked whether or not this technology would have a potential positive or negative impact. Now I want to listen to what these nerds have to say about that.
Would certainly save us some money on funding on Artemis.
Definitely.
And this is a national security issue, that if there is such technology out there, we're not the only country that might have access to it. We don't want to be on the wrong end of technological surprise.
Okay. Thank you guys for your time. All right, answer this real quickly. Some of these aircraft, it seems that they are operating off of energy that we don't currently have. But just yes or no, in your opinion, if we were able to obtain that, would that impact humanity for the better or negative?
I wanted to get back to that part because she says energy we don't currently have, which I don't know what that would be. Maybe some sort of cold fusion or something like that. But it seems like whatever's powering these things are so beyond the scope of our capabilities that they have no explanation for it. But that it's been observed and scientifically tested to be true and to be real. And they have some of this stuff, and it's crazy to me that we're finding out. Sometimes it's mind-boggling to me. We could find out that this amazing, narrative-changing thing exists. Alien beings from another dimension or another planet, something outside the scope of Earth, exist. The only thing we're worried about is getting our grubby little fucking hands on it first, so China can't be more powerful than us. Like, we're so obsessed. It's no wonder. Because in my opinion, they're probably checking. They're like, you know what? And there's probably an episode of South Park or some shit about this, but they're probably like, all right, Earth's getting there. Maybe we bring them into the intergalactic soiree. Invite them to the cosmic orgy, if you will. Hey, why don't you come over to the Omega Galaxy and bang my wife? Come to the key party, And we're blowing it. We're blowing it because we're a little power hungry, can't see the forest for the trees. We're worried about this little tiny planet we live on and not seeing ourselves as part of a infinite universal cosmos that might have life teeming everywhere, that we could be sharing best practices and using technology and finding ways to enhance and enrich our planet in a way that might help recover some of the damage done to the climate or to the atmosphere or to the land. Instead of trying to figure that out, how do we come into contact with these beings? How do we find out what they want? How do we join the Galactic Federation of the betterment of the universe? Instead, we're like, we got to fuck China up. Like, let's be real, dog. We can't have Putin getting the space lasers before we do. It's just such a short-sighted, shitty human creatures of war way to look at things that I'm like, man, no wonder they won't let us come to the key party, man. Because they know you're not going to treat their wife with respect. They know you're not going to treat their husband. You know, you're going to bite down and you're not going to give him like good oral. You're going to bite down too hard on his space wiener or something in the intergalactic orgy. Because you're a freaking human and humans can't be trusted. Look at how they behave. Anyway, we got to get it together, and I just want to give a shout-out right now again to all the crazy uncles and aunts who've been saying this shit for years. Bob Lazar, they've tried to ruin your good name. The dude from Blink-182, I think he had a hand in this at some point, which is also an insane thing for me to say, but oh, my God. I want to fuck my skateboard because aliens are real. And one put his little gray finger up my butt one time at a party in California. Turns out that guy was telling the truth. Who knew? The guy from Blink-182 banged an alien, and he tried to tell us through his music. You guys, I met a gray dude in the bathroom. And he told me his name was Gleep Glop Glork. You're right, man. We're sorry. I don't remember that guy's name. Do you remember his name? Yeah, he's too young. My producer's so young he doesn't know who Blink-182 is. That's where we're at in this fucking world, okay? He's not impressed with aliens. Freaking Gen Z. Of course not. Well, I am. So hats off. We'll keep you abreast of the situation until I get sucked up into the sky with a tractor beam or something like that. But, man, what a wild time to be alive. And that concludes a segment I like to call the Annals of History. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break from our alien overlords. And we are back. Thank you for staying with me after you just found out that aliens are real and you probably needed to get your affairs in order, but you're still here hanging out with me, and I want to reward that by doing the final segment of the show, a little segment old Rafe likes to call Tank Talks. Doing Tank Talks, baby. Gonna talk on the tank. Tank is... we're back. This is a segment I like to call Tank Talks, guys. And this is when, for those of you that don't know, and we'll put it up right now, there's a hotline. Call the show anytime, day or night, 818-532-1420. It is the number 2 show, Papa Squat Hotline, where you can call and leave up to a 3-minute message talking to me about whatever you want. You need some advice. You want to tell me a secret you've never told anybody before. You can be anonymous, or you can tell me if you want me to use your name. Anything you want to talk to me about, you can call. Put it on the table, and if I select your message, I'm going to put you in a drawing to win one of these cool number 2 show hats that you see on top of my head. I've decided I'm going to give one of these out about once a month. So, yes, please clap it up. Everybody's been asking when the merch is coming out. Well, guess what? The merch is motherfucking out, baby, and I'm going to give it to you. So call 818-532-1420. Leave me a message, drop me a line, something you want me to talk about or something you find interesting, and we'll chat it up. But right now, let's see, who do I want to... There's a lot of these I haven't heard yet, and I just put them on, and we'll see what happens. Here's one called I Love Your Show, Bye. Let's see what this one is.
Can you please play me on the number 2 show? I really want to be on it. I love your show. Bye.
Okay, that's all right. That was literally, I thought it was the name of the file. That was the text of the actual message. Now, let's all hope and pray to the good Lord that was not an adult and that was a child. Let's play it one more time.
can you please play me on the number 2 show? I really want to be on it. I love your show. Bye.
Well, I just played you on the number 2 show. Thanks for calling in, telling me you love the show, who I hope is a 10-year-old child who definitely should not be watching this. I say a lot of really crazy, outlandish shit, use a lot of curse words. But you know what? I was watching Dice Clay when I was 10, so it's better than that. I'm not doing vulgar nursery rhymes, at least not every episode. Well, thanks for listening. Let's see. Let's open up another one here. Here's one. How did you get into radio and voice acting? Ooh.
Hey, Ray. What's going on, you fuckaroo? Hey, long story short, I'm on a long car ride, and I had this one question. Recently, I had this one lady who was my host who was sitting me down at a diner in the St. Louis area, say, hey, you got a really nice voice. You should get into voice acting. You should get into radio. Long story short, my question to you is, how'd you get into radio? What was kind of your secret into getting into the position you're at? Also, what was the largest dump you've ever taken? I need to know that. That's a very professional question. I feel like needs to be addressed. That's about it. And how. But I love you, buddy. Appreciate all you done. Love listening every day. See you, man.
All right. Somewhere in the middle of that voicemail, someone barged into the studio there. Who do I have to thank for that? Joseph. I love that whoever came in didn't even try to close the door quietly. They just slammed the hell out of it on their way out. That's the kind of respect my show gets around this place, guys, in case you were wondering. That's very funny. And we can cut that out. But, all right. So I believe the overall question, when he said long story short and then told a very long story, was how did I get into radio or voice acting? Someone told me I had a voice for radio. I get this a lot. People, a lot of times people are like, how'd you get that? I want to do that. This was a pretty thoughtful question, though, so I'll tell you. A lot of it's luck and work. You know, being a comedian, I spent a lot of time doing comedy, being an improv and sketch and being around creative people. And a lot of those people ended up working at creative agencies, whether it was camera folk or producers of shows that, as I worked my way up through the comedy scene, I would do voiceovers for comedy sketches or my own things, you know, do characters or I'm also lucky. I've heard I have a good radio voice. I don't know if that's true or not. I got a lot of bass in my voice. It never sounds like I think it sounds when I listen to it, but I have heard people say that it's pleasing. I've heard people say they could listen to me talk or tell stories for a long time, which is good because I talk a lot. And it would suck if my voice was annoying. I'm sure some people do find it annoying, and I'm sure I'll get emails and or comments of people telling me that right now. But a lot of it came with luck and just repetition and being around other creative people, doing my own things, and eventually, I talked about this on a comedy panel this weekend. I had a Flyover Comedy Fest here in the city. It's a fest that I produce here in St. Louis with my friends Brady Makinich and Zach Jehoviak, and I'll give you $1,000 if you can spell his last name, because I know you can't. We do an industry panel where there were people from Netflix and Moon Tower and all of Paramount and all of these big festivals and television streamers. In a lot of entertainment, my man, I didn't know that I would even get into radio. I got into radio because I came on as a guest. The show's host, Rizz, who was here earlier, liked me. Some unfortunate events happened. Someone lost their job and another person passed away, a beloved figure here in the St. Louis area, and they needed somebody to do it. He asked if I'd throw my hat in the ring. I did some auditions, and people liked me here. They thought I was good on the radio, and I got the job. It was not anything I ever foresaw happening. I do have a degree in mass comm, so I have a little bit of familiarity with TV, radio. But honestly, man, it's just body of work. You got to get out, take all the gigs you can do, and one thing you can do is get a voice acting reel. And you can find a voice acting coach for that. You can look online, find somebody that's like, get a little reel of like, here's an upbeat read. Hey, here's a serious read about how we can all work together in a post-COVID world. And you can do all sorts of different takes on things. And then you can get a voice acting agent. A lot of those are local. You can get one locally, whatever city you're in. If you're in St. Louis, there's a few local agencies. If you're interested in it, you might have to spend a little money up top to do it. Start your own podcast. Ain't nobody's but you stopping you from doing your own podcast. And then you can learn how to be on the mic, what it's like to prep, share your opinions if you're interested in radio or podcasting. Like, there's nothing stopping you, man. You can start a podcast tomorrow. Get something you care about. Get you a couple microphones, and you can upload stuff yourself to Lisbon or all sorts of different apps to upload podcasts. And, through that and character work, I do a lot of character work in sketch where I would play a Gary Busey or I would play a silly character I came up with. And I got cast to do a cartoon where I was basically the 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore owned a bar. And I played George Washington and Thomas Jefferson in that. In fact, and that was like my first voice acting gig for animation. And then, it was just a small thing, but I learned you start making yourself acquainted with folks and they remember you, and then they usually call you back for future projects. If you're cool, you do the job well, and you're easy to work with, you tend to get more work. And the same thing happened. I started voicing. I do thermostat installations. They're not sexy, but I love it. I get a lot of work. I give step-by-step thermostat installation processes for HVAC for Emerson, White Rogers, Thermotech. I do all sorts of stuff like that. And all of that came about just from being around. In fact, I want to see if I can find that.
How the hell can you guys be so fucking cool with this?
Whoa, Abe, calm down. What's your deal?
What's my deal? He's here. You let him in. Shit, do you also have wooden eyes?
Who?
Booth.
There's nobody sitting in the booths.
For fuck's sake, Booth the man. Right there, staring at me. He's here to kill me again. I know it.
Oh, come on. It's been an eternity since that happened. People change. You can't stay mad at someone forever. Eventually, you have to let bygones be bygones.
Oi! This looks like a nice pub to grab a pint.
Get the fuck out of my bar, you crooked-toothed, tea-taxing, red-coated bastards! America! You just have to learn to forgive. G-dubs, Abe, you're killing the vibe over here. I apologize for my friends. Beautiful women like yourselves deserve a better atmosphere. Here, have a drink on me. It's a 1776 Bordeaux. Only the best.
Hey, what about me?
Shh.
You guys are insane.
All right, we can. Clearly, Tom has an interest in a specific type of lady there. That was a super fun project I got to do. I got to do 3 voices in that. I got to do Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, and the English ruffian who came through the door. And that was early on in my voice acting career. And I like to think it's gotten better since then. And this was a cool little thing my friend Mike Dilberto made. You can find it online. But I guess the point of this is just to tell you that take little projects, help friends out with things, surround yourself with creative people. If that's something you want to really get into, if you're actually interested in doing voice acting and getting into radio, you have to, it's not going to fall in your lap. You have to, it's opportunities where luck and preparation meet. And I was doing a lot of preparing by being on stage and taking improv class, man. You'll find so many creative people in the improv community. I did a sketch show with my friends, and we just made stuff together. And if you continue, and eventually one day I looked up, and I had a pretty impressive body of work, and it was just from keeping my nose to the grindstone and making stuff I thought was funny, and it didn't all work. A lot of the stuff out there I made is not good. Or it's good for where I was in my career at that time. There's things I go back and change, but that's part of art. Is if you wait, perfection is the enemy of very good. And if you wait forever, if you wait to be the best of the best at what you do, you'll never get good at what you do because failure is part of it. And so, yeah, you can go out and get yourself a little coach. They can help you make a reel. Surround yourself with creative people. Start yourself a podcast tomorrow. Those are 4 active steps that you can take to get into radio and voice acting. And that concludes this week's segment of Tank Talks. Thank you. And I'll throw your hat in the ring for a free number 2 show hat. You just got to call back and identify who the hell you were when you called me because you didn't leave the message of who you were. We'll be back after a quick word from our alien overlords. All right, we're back, and it's time for the wrap-up. Man, what an episode. I talked to Rizz about dad underwear, tighty-whities, and having to take a shit in the woods. Then we got into the tinfoil hat section of the show where we talked about actual alien hearings that are happening on Capitol Hill. And we played a little bit and broke down some of the crazy information that can't seem to hold the public interest, which blows my mind. Then we got into a couple of calls on Tank Talks. One really appreciative young fan and somebody that wanted a little advice about voice acting. This episode's jam-packed. I appreciate it. Whatever you do, I know it sounds cliche, but if you could, be sure to like and subscribe and share and leave a positive review on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to your podcasts. YouTube, I don't care where you're at. Leave me a comment, leave me a like, subscribe to Rafe Williams. Whatever you can do, I appreciate it because it helps people find me. I don't have a genre, all right? I'm the first ever toilet talk show. There's no genre. It's me. I'm the genre. So for people to find me, you got to tell people about it. You got to like and share. Be like, hey, this podcast's pretty funny, man. It's kind of wild. Sometimes it's not as good as other days, but he's in there. He's delivering the goods on a weekly basis. Cut him some fucking slack. Okay, you don't have to say that last part. That was just my inner feelings coming out. But please like and subscribe. Until next time, I'm your host, Rafe Williams. This is the number 2 show, and always, and I do mean always, try to poop indoors, and always wipe front to back.